All right. Good afternoon. It is Thursday, June 11th, 2026, the day before the big IPO, SpaceX IPO, tomorrow. Got a lot that happened in the past several days. So QQQ, we've had these insane gap down, and we've had quite a bit of volatility. Last Wednesday, I don't know which day it was specifically. Last Wednesday was actually the 3rd. So we got the inflation reading right here on the 3rd, and then the following day, we got the inflation reading. CPI came in last week on Wednesday at 4.2% year over year, which is quite a bit higher than the 3.8% previously from the previous month in April. And then the following day, we got a gap down, and we recovered. And then the next several days, we've had quite intense moves, you know, from here 730 all the way down to 700. $25 intraday move in one direction, and then the following day we consolidated in the middle inside bar, and then the next day, a few days ago, actually at the end of last week, well, actually no, the 9th was actually Tuesday, so 2 days ago we had this even bigger move from 725-ish all the way down to 686, which is absolutely insane. Totally missed out these big volatile moves, which really sucks. And I had to reset my account. It takes a full week, and I'm also not going to really be able to trade tomorrow during the SpaceX IPO, which really sucks. I tried to find a way to make the time, but I'm not able to. So now we're kind of nearing the bottom of this range, and we've been starting to consolidate a little bit more. And just in the past couple hours, we had this big spike here. After consolidating, we've been in an inside bar, obviously, from yesterday. Well, yesterday was actually a little bit less, but in the previous 2 days, we're kind of just in that range of this previous sell-off. We got some news about Trump basically saying he's canceling the strikes on Iran, which they've been going back and forth and trying to come to a deal, and blah, blah, blah. So the market is jumping on that right now. We also had the PPI inflation data come in this morning, I believe, at 6.5%, which is over the 5.7% previous, and the expectation was 6.4%, so it came in hot. Producer price inflation and jobless claims came in at 229,000 versus 220,000. So it's a little bit, it's not really a great picture with the inflation rising generally. So the market's trying to digest that, and we're going into this big SpaceX IPO, which I'm sure a lot of liquidity has been coming out alongside this recent pullback that we've been having. So I really only have today My account is actually at $50.53. So basically right at 50 bucks, and the contracts are very expensive. You know, I'm looking at earlier this morning, the contracts, anything under $1 for a contract is like $10 out the money. So it's totally insane. We broke the daily trend, not just on Qs, but on SPY as well. SPY was already happening a little bit earlier. Well, the hourly trend on SPY was breaking already over here. And then now we got these past like 5 days of big red selling, and we're coming back into some type of support potentially, but this may be marking the beginning of another correction, which can come down a little bit. We got the Kevin Warsh coming in, and he's coming into a really hot inflation print, and his meeting is going to be later this month, the very first meeting, Kevin Warsh at the Federal Reserve Open Market Committee. So really, I'm just looking for an opportunity to trade a momentum trade today, and see if I can capture any profit on this account. And you know, I only have today, so to be honest, it kind of sucks because I can't really be there tomorrow, and so I kind of have to just go for it today, is what I'm thinking. So I'm going to be looking for some type of directional move, potentially a continued bullish move if we want to break above this previous high. And we could potentially take a scalp on that, looking for a late entry. Ideally, and hoping for a actual leg higher or lower. At this point, with this spike that we got off of this recent announcement, is going to be a little bit more difficult to go short unless we were to break what I was thinking was the previous day low. Well, on QQQ, the previous day low is right around 693, which obviously we bounced way before we could even get close to that. On SPY, we already swept that previous day low, and we're still inside. QQQ is making an upside, so quite a weird spot. We got the 21 and the 9 EMA on the daily chart just above, but on the 4-hour chart, we have this 9 right here. So above that, we could potentially get a closure. That gives us room to potentially move up towards like 715, 716, which I think is possible. And that also aligns with this 9 EMA right here. So I'm just looking at these small little levels to the upside. These the 9 and 21 on the 4 and the daily, 4-hour and the daily chart. Kind of just looking for what could be a move back up here towards the end of the day. And if it goes bearish, then it may just continue that correction. We see now it's already there. So let's see what it does coming off of this big green candle, and see if we can put in a higher low and then go for a higher move. Oil just coming down back below $90 today. Not even close to a relative low though. It would need to get down towards like 80. And if they sign a deal, then it's going to be dropping down under 80, I think, really quickly. The VIX came off of this 15 low all the way up over 20. This candle was pretty crazy, 40% candle on that first gap down. And we're just kind of consolidating. So the VIX is, it's just balanced out. There's not really too much to look at on the VIX, except it does give us room if it wants to come back down and decompress, and that could allow the markets to recover a bit. Especially tomorrow with SpaceX, a lot of money is going to be moving around and entering the market. Probably money that's been sitting on the sidelines for months and years potentially will be coming into the market tomorrow. So a lot of people are somewhat predicting, from what I can tell, people are predicting that the IPO is going to boom initially on the first day tomorrow. Going into the weekend, it's going to rally maybe 50%, maybe 100%, who knows. Obviously, if it opens at over $1 trillion, it's going to be pretty tough for it to rally 50% or 100%. You'd need like $500 million of liquidity coming in, which is totally possible, but what it seems like is we're going to get a rally tomorrow with the SpaceX, you know, specifically. Maybe it shakes out by the end of the day, but it seems pretty bullish, and seems like people are preparing for it. And I think that has somewhat to do with this correction that we've had over the past 5 days. Although I don't think it's like the main reason why we're pulling back. I think it's a technical correction mostly, kind of an exhaustion correction. So we'll see if this can lock in a higher low right here, and then get a closure above some of these more critical levels. Thinking like 710. Let me see, where is this? Any closure above 710, I think on a lower time frame would be pretty bullish here. We kind of had that here, this higher candle, but this is now we're getting a pullback, and potentially we can continue this leg up higher. There's quite a bit of room to the upside if we do want to rally into the end of the day. We have the directionality here now with these candle, and if we can just get some momentum and volume, that could lead us higher, back over 715 and 717-ish, QQQ specifically. And on SPY, it's very similar, but SPY is actually sitting right at its 9 EMA on the daily, or on the 4-hour chart, which is at 735.69-ish. So SPY would need a closure of like basically over 736. Candle closing over 736, like on a 15-minute or a 5-minute, which we barely had here, is very similar. And that could we could mark a higher low potentially. And then on SPY, on the 4-hour chart, the 21 EMA on SPY is at 740, almost 741, which is all the way up here, which does look to be like more room than I think the Q. All the Qs is like 717. That's like a $9, $8 move from here for SPY up to 740, 741. It's like a $6 move, $7 move. I'm really just going to be patient, looking for and with my $50 account, you know, it's going to be kind of difficult to find a $30 contract. So what I mean by I just need to kind of go for it is I'm probably looking for a trade that's like around that $40 to $50, and I'm just going to probably take one trade, maybe two, depending on if I find a way to stop out early and use the PDT the removal of the PDT rule to give me a chance to stop out and then potentially re-enter. So it could be a test of that. You know, I would maybe try to stop for $5 or $10 on a loss, you know, if I'm trying to get a late entry, and the move should happen immediately in the situation like that. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. So if I do lose, then I may lose like a $20 to $30, 20 to 20, 25 or $30, which would mean I would probably have to reset again. But that's kind of what with this volatility, it's very expensive to trade these contracts. So I need to kind of go for it and try to go for at least a solid green trade. And if it loses, then I may have to just it'll be a struggle, and I may have to reset again. But today I've reset back to scratch, $50.53. It's in my account, nothing more, nothing less, and I will be trading with that from here. And so today I really need to find a way to try to manage risk, but it's going to be difficult since it's Thursday and we have this quite a bit of volatility. I mean, the futures here coming down, candle by candle going lower, and I don't know if this is actually 15-minute delayed, I think. So that's why 10 minutes delayed. So it's kind of annoying to look at, but I don't know. I guess I would need to upgrade my trading view to fix that delay. Yeah, this delay, it's definitely delayed by 10 minutes. It's missing a candle on both of these. But that's all right. I didn't quite realize that these futures are delayed by 10 minutes. I don't know how much I have to pay to fix that. So we're back over 710, so it looks pretty decent. Still an hour and 45 minutes in the market. So this is the level on the 4-hour chart on QQQ. This 21 above this 9 EMA. I'm kind of looking for this 716, 717. If we can push, go higher here, then we could potentially see that. You know, if we get a closure above 710, which we're kind of doing now. On the 5-minute chart, it's not quite there yet, 2.5 minutes. So I'm looking for momentum, and I just got to go for it here today. Oops, I didn't mean to duplicate that. Yeah, so this setup is looking good. We're putting in a higher low at the 9. Let me check out what the options chain is looking like. The total pullback though on the correction from last week, like the past like 5-6 days, is only about 4 to 5% on SPY and 6 to 8% on QQQ. So we had an initial correction up to May, or up to the end of May, the end of April. I mean, the end of March and April, in the beginning of April, we had a correction of like 10 to 15% across the market. And then as soon as April hit, we had that flip, which is when the fear and greed indicator hit like 9. It was like 9 or 11. And then, which was very similar to the previous year's April 2025 low, which almost identically happened. And then we got the rally back to all-time highs, which is probably another 10, 15% back up, or actually maybe even more, maybe like 20, 25% to make those new highs consistently over the past couple of weeks. And then this correction in these past 5 days has only been 4 or 5%, you know, on average. And it seems to be sector specific, because today we have most of the AI infrastructure stocks and names up again. You know, the SOXL semiconductor leveraged ETF is up 17% today. And well, QQQ is up 2.5%, and SPY's up 1.3%. So pretty decent coming off of that the low or the previous day's close. We got SanDisk up 11%, ARM up 8%, and Marvell up 7%. Intel's up 6%, Micron's up 6%, AMD's up 5%. SMCI got cooked the other day, did an offering, so I'm just going to be continuing to buy. I'm going to be loading up on SMCI while it's cheap, while it's under 50 bucks, under 100 bucks long term. That's just one of my my premonition in terms of the Terafab. But SMCI got cooked, but it's all right. We can average down. It's back down to 30 bucks, which is really cheap. But it's up 5%. Oklo, the other one that I'm really speculatively long on, is up 5% today. So it's not really too bad of a market today. I mean, it looks pretty good, especially in the past hour. We got this move. There's a closure above 710, even 711 on QQQ here. So it's not too bad. I think could start going. For SPY, about 9 minutes left for this 15-minute candle, and QQQ. So maybe give it another about 9-10 minutes and see if we can get a closure. And then if we can start breaking above this high, 713, 714, then I may look for a long, some late entry to try to capitalize on a short move. But the contracts right now on the call side for QQQ, at the money calls, like the 711 is $184, which is very expensive. I'd have to go out to like, even the 715 call right now is 60 cents. So even that's unaffordable. 716 call is 44 cents. So like, I'm going to have to go for something like that. And then hopefully it doesn't go against me initially, so I don't have to try to worry about stopping out and then re-entering, but I may even do that. And that will be a even better test of the PDT rule, which I tried to do last week, which ended up not really working out because I had 2 contracts by the end of the day and they literally went to zero. I couldn't even sell them for $1. I couldn't even sell the contracts for $1 and I waited too long. It was a really annoying trade because I took a trade last Friday or last Thursday, or I think it was Friday actually, for $8 and made 225% on it, sold it for $26. And then I tried to use that wash buying power to test the PDT rule, and I took a trade and it totally went against me. And then I added an extra contract because the contract account was basically cooked at that point, down $20 on a $28 account size at the time. And then the contracts literally went to zero so fast that I couldn't even get out of them, even by, in after hours. I was trying to sell the contract, and selling the contract for anything would have been a realistic test of the PDT. And I didn't strategize. I didn't think through it very well. I should have just taken a $20, $30 contract and stopped out for $5 and done that at least a couple times and just let it happen. And that would have been a better way to test the PDT, just by taking a $30 contract, stopping out for $5 in a couple minutes, and then trying it again a couple times to see if I can get in on the move. And if I would have done so, I would have stopped out on the first trade and I would have immediately flipped short because we broke everything really quickly. And then we ended up selling off into the end of the day last Friday, and I would have been able to capitalize on that if I was able to actually just stop out and test the PDT rule properly, and I didn't think it through. So I really messed up on that last week and had to reset the account with another $50. So that's why the account is $50.53 right now, which definitely makes it kind of difficult to take a trade because these contracts are very expensive. The price action is very volatile right now. So yeah, just looking for this lower high to come in. This is more of like a sweep here. This back at the 9, this could be the lower high, and then if we can get another closure, we need to break above this previous high, relative high here, 712.54-ish. And then we could look for, what I would be looking for is a late entry on momentum to continue up higher, maybe a few dollars higher here would be ideal. But that's it if we can protect this this candle right here, and we hold this 9, even this 21, but this 21 would need to rise a bit, and then we need to hold it and then go for a higher high. And this would be the high day, since we opened up down here, consolidated, and we got this big spike. Trump announced that he posted or whatever about canceling the strikes, which is a good thing, but they need to finalize those negotiations, and they need to just somehow get the resolution done already. So that's really what they're trying to go for. They're not trying to really don't need to escalate too much, but it's really the difference is between negotiating and escalating in order to get what they want out of the negotiations. So anyways, it's pretty stale. People in the market, at least the market, is not really, it's kind of over it. It's kind of looking for other reasons right now, like the SpaceX thing. It's SpaceX IPO tomorrow, and the oil's back down under 90, so relatively decent, and the VIX has room to come down still, back down to about 20. Could lose 20 here going into the end of the day. I want to see this build out here, put in a higher low. Maybe this 21 will catch up, and then we can capture a move off of that as we break the highs and gain some momentum. If this volume can increase again like this, and then we can get a breakout of this area right here all the way back to here, and we might be able to make that move on this 4-hour chart up to this level here, 716 and 718. We can get back up in here potentially. It's all within this this one candle from 2 days ago. So it was a really big move. So we're kind of in between this volatility, just inside bar basically. So 713 and then 716 on the daily and on the 4-hour chart. 709, 710 needs to hold, and 716, 718. So if we do continue this bullish move, I'm just looking for that to pick up a higher low and bounce off of one of these EMAs, and then break this high with momentum and increasing volume. That will be the way to capitalize on a trade with lower uncertainty. Waiting for the momentum to come in, waiting for this to build out some structure and potentially break out. I need a trade that gives me an obvious entry, because I need to go for it, and I gotta take profit. I'm probably gonna have to take profit early today, depending on the type of momentum that can come in, because I really need to try to protect the capital that I have. I only have $50, and so yeah, I could lose like 1 or 2 trades and then the account is cooked. That's fine. It's not a problem to have to reset it and do it again. The point is that I need to continue to take shots. I need to continue to take a risk on the trades that I believe are correct, and I need to continue to learn from any mistakes that I do make, and continue to build and find strategies and risk management ways to conserve and preserve the capital that I have in order to scale it up from the lowest of the low, which is like $50, less than $100. It's extremely difficult to trade, but with such an amount, especially with this type of volatility. But the opportunity is there, and I know it's possible. And I've traded small amounts to large amounts many times, never sustainably. That's the difference here, is I'm looking to do it sustainably. So it does take initial risk, and if I have to initially fail the challenge a few times, which I've already done, really, I've already had to reset the account like 4 or 5 times, which is like $250. So I'm technically in the hole. My year-to-date on SPY is negative 200 something. My year-to-date on QQQ is also negative like 200. I'm not really sure how. It just happens to be. So ideally those will all flip green as I can get away from the lowest point of this account, having like $50, 100, even a couple $100. Getting past that is important. So I have to take the risk, and I have to be willing to reset and load myself up with the ability to continue to take trades until it begins to work. So it's just a bit of refinement that I'm working on these past couple months. It's just me refining the way I'm doing things and the way I'm analyzing and the way that I go about journaling and learning from the mistakes that I have made over the years, and especially in the past months, when I'm trying to be more serious and trying to actually win instead of, win in the long term, which has to do with risk to reward and position sizing. Position sizing today is going to be difficult because the contracts are expensive, and I can't really trade tomorrow most likely because I have to work, and I try to find a way to get tomorrow off, but it wasn't possible. So today's the only day I could trade this week, which really sucks. And if I do fail today, then it would suck because then next week I still won't be able to trade pretty much until the next Thursday as well. And I would potentially have to reset, which I would like to avoid doing that. But if I could just take a decent scalp today, if I can be patient enough for the momentum and the move to come in, look for a late entry and test the PDT roll and capture any profit, then I could have a little bit more of an easier time next week, maybe an extra day or two to be able to look at the market and trade. But I'm going to be really busy, so I'm really not going to be able to trade more than 1 or 2 days a week, from this point forward, because my bills are very high and it's becoming very difficult and stressful. And so I have to work more hours, and I'm trying to get as many hours as I can. And I'm still looking for another job. I'm looking for a career. I've been looking for this for years now, and it just has been unsuccessful. I've optimized my resume like 6 or 7 times, and there's only so far you can take it, and so many job interviews you could do with basically fraudulent companies or scams or whatever it might be. Basically a bunch of jobs that are not going to be beneficial, or that don't have a long-term have any long-term feel to them. It really don't present any opportunity for me to learn besides just doing like door-to-door sales. That's fine, but I'm looking for something a little bit more meaningful, something at this point in my life that I need an opportunity to work somewhere that at least gives me enough to survive and be able to. I need my income to be high enough to where I can actually save and invest and continue to trade. And that's slowly becoming less possible as time goes on. Things become more expensive, and my wage remains the same, and I really make less because I can't get as many hours. I can't even work full time. I could barely get overtime. So it's really difficult to even afford to live. And I'm in California, so it's even more difficult because I live alone, and there's just not many things that are cheap, and my income is very low. It hasn't really changed for like 5, 6, 7 years. My income has been the same, and I've worked 6, 7, 8, 9 jobs over the past several years with no real progress. So I don't know, maybe it's me, maybe I don't put enough effort into it, but it's been getting really difficult as of lately. Okay, I like SPY on the 5-minute chart is looking kind of decent. It's holding up the 9 EMA pretty well so far, but it hasn't made a higher high. And there's no increasing volume yet. QQQ, same exact thing. It's right at the 9. It's flagging out pretty decently here. Above 712, a closure, candle closure above 712 would be pretty significant. And I think we could possibly get a move higher. You know, probably a few dollars from 712, 713, 717, 18. So that's like a $5 move could happen. That's ideally what I would be looking for here. And I'll be looking to take a late entry, early exit, capitalize on that. You know, if I'm taking a $50 contract, probably looking to make, you know, at least half of that, like $30 in profit on a trade where I would typically stop out for $20-ish. So it's nearly a 1-to-1 depending on the type of momentum. But that's the kind of trade I need to be able to take several times in order to buff up the account and get it from $50 to $100 to $200 so that I can get away from taking 2 losses and then having to reset the account, which is very annoying. It sucks. And I've been doing that for the past 3 months and it's not very fun. But I do have a lot of hope and optimism that I'm going to be able to make it happen regardless. It's just a matter of time. And each day I have to be more and more critical about the decisions I make and about the trades I take and learning the lessons that I need to learn in order to avoid repeating the same mistakes, which is one of the biggest problems in trading, is just repeating mistakes that you've made. And man, I wish I could see the markets tomorrow, but I'm going to be busy probably. You double check my schedule, but I'm going to be showing up at work tomorrow. I'm going to be busy, so there's like a 3% chance that I'll have any way to trade tomorrow. It's too bad missing a historic day like SpaceX IPO day on tomorrow on Friday. It just sucks. I really wish I didn't miss it. You know, I'm not going to be able to be there. I'm only going to get to look back at it in hindsight, which really sucks. So yeah, really sucks. I would actually like, if I had the day off tomorrow, I'd probably just stream the whole day to really watch SpaceX and see how it does and how the rest of the market plays out on that initial day. That's what I would love to do, but I'm not going to be able to. I'm not going to be able to trade after today until next Wednesday, probably. Maybe Tuesday. But I'm trying to work 5 days a week, so my schedule should be locked in, hopefully starting next week. And then I'm probably only going to be able to trade Wednesday, Thursday. So just midweek trading, 2 days a week. So it is what it is. But, you know, constraint is also a way to breed innovation. You know, the more constrained you are, the less time that you have to do things, the more motivated you're required to be, the more disciplined you're required to be. And so it's not necessarily a bad thing. Plus I have to do it anyways because my bills are just outrageous right now and I'm in debt and it's pretty bad. I'm in all kinds of debt. I'm in trouble. So I really been thinking about getting a second job again, which I had a couple years ago, and working an extra 20-25 hours a week during the night. But it's really hard to even find that. It's really hard to even find a part-time job to do, you know, in the evening, which really sucks. So see what happens. Gonna have to thug it out. Don't really have a choice. I gotta log in and I gotta get my income up. I gotta keep my income stable and I gotta keep trading and keep going because I need to get money so I can invest, and I need to grow my trading accounts so that I can reinvest and so that I can upgrade the tools that I'm using, like TradingView, and get the journaling software like TradeZilla so I can track all my trades and things like that. But I need to make money to do any of these things. So that's why I'm starting with basically nothing with $50, and I'm just looking to scale it up, you know, from nothing to something. That's really the best way to do it, because you could put 10,000 in your account, but then you could lose it, and then you're gonna feel terrible about it. But if you start with like $100 and you just like go through the struggling phase and you figure it out, by the time you reach 10,000, it's all house money, and then it's the opposite feeling where you're not even so worried about it because you've just accumulated and scaled up without actually contributing. You contribute your time and expertise to the market and the candles, and you're able to extract value. And I think that human discretion will beat algorithmic automation by far, and always. Human discretion will always surpass artificial automation of trading or decision making. Obviously, there's a level to it, and I'm sure automations can be profitable at a low level when they're scaled up to a high level. But at a holistic level, making money as a human with your own discretion in the market and understanding psychology and price action and all the things that play into the market dynamics and the forward-looking nature of it allows you to capitalize in a much bigger, more effective way over time if you manage risk properly. So that's really the difference. All right, these contracts are cheapening a little bit. 714 call on QQQ is 50 cents. It's going to be out of the range though as it moves up here, but so far it looks pretty good and constructive. 715 calls 40 cents. See some type of little rising volume on the 5-minute chart, and on SPY not so much. Okay. 15 minutes until power hour. Shoot. I'm gonna drink this coffee. I've been feeling messed up lately. My sleep schedule's been so bad. I'm trying to catch up on sleep, but then I'm sleeping like during the day and then staying up late, and then it's just like totally random, and I feel drowsy from sleeping ineffectively. All right, let's see if this can lead to a breakout. We need a closure over 712, and then we can get a move higher. Pushing 711 here. This looks pretty decent though. I like this level here. Definitely above this level, this 712-ish range, we can start to get some momentum to the upside. $7.15 calls 44 cents. The low of day on the contract is only 20. No, the open is 25 cents. The low of day is 1 cent. So yeah, I was looking at it a little bit differently. The low of day is not 25. It's actually 0.01. That's how volatile these contracts are. If the low of day was 25 cents, I'd be like, okay, well, if I'm entering at 44, then my risk would be at the low of day of the contract around 20, 25. And that's actually not bad. It's like $20 risk versus here. 715 calls already at 50 cents, so very difficult to get an entry there. I like the way it's starting to move here, but it just sucks because I have to go like 3, 4, 5 or 6 strikes out the money still, even with an hour and 15 minutes in the market left. So we need serious confirmation here for me to enter. But that just means I'm going to enter farther out, which I'm going to try to spend less time in the trade. And if it doesn't go in my direction like nearly immediately, then I'm gonna look to possibly stop out and then just get a re-entry and see if the PDT rule, the removal of the PDT rule allows me to do so, which it should. So my cash is settled. But ideally I just take one trade and it works the first time and I don't have to do that. It's something I'm not really used to, but I have to get used to that. Okay, SPY's pushing back up close to the 736, needs to be over 736. QQQ needs to be over 712. SPY needs to be over this 736 area. And then SPY could go for this 740, 41, 21 EMA. That could definitely come in. And on QQQ, it's very similar. Maybe it's even a little bit less on this. It's like, well, it's like a $5 move still, so pretty solid. But yeah, so looking for this to put some confirmation in. We're right around 712 here. Yeah, contracts are moving up really quickly. So I guess I'm going to be looking at like the 716 call if we get over 712 here, but closer in 1 minute. Could be worth the entry if we close above 712. I'd have to take a 716 call. It's around 40 cents here. It's gonna run away real quick though. That's the problem. I may look to enter this contract. It's around 40 cents. We're still not over 712 though. SPY's almost at 736 here now. All right, I'm gonna try to see if I can take this entry. I'll just take it here. 716 call. Took an entry on the 716 call for 41 cents. Not the latest entry, but there's still 5 seconds till the close. But yeah, I see SPY's creeping over at 712 here. There's a decent close, not over 712, but we are basically over 712 with that move. Now here we would look to get increasing volume and make a new high. Contracts up 18% from $41 to 51 right here. So I'm probably just gonna keep my finger on the trigger if we can get some momentum here. I'm not really looking for too much. I just need to beef up this account ideally today so that next week I have more of a ability to trade without having to risk half of my account or more, which is basically what I'm doing here. I'm risking like at least half of my account or more in order to capture a momentum trade. Okay, SPY making a new high, QQQ making a new high. This is pretty bullish. We're nearing 713 on Qs. SPY's over 736. Well, SPY hasn't made a new high yet. Volume is elevated, but not increasing yet. I think this is where we can possibly get a move up towards 715, 716 on QQQ. If we can get this solid breakout here, it's trying. Contracts back to break even here. 716 call, 40 cents back to break even. It went up to like 55, back down to 40, 44 here. Pretty volatile, but we need momentum to come in here on this breakout. Push us up to 714 or 715, 716 initially. I'm trusting the momentum. It's a slight breakout, not really too much, and it's already putting a bit of a rejection, but I'm not really too worried about it. I think we can get this move here. So we need to see SPY making a new high. QQQ barely did it by a few cents there. High day on QQQ 712.74. Previous high day was 712.54, about 20 cents over that previous high day. SPY is still about 20 cents below it. Yeah. This is where the momentum needs to come through. We got a couple good green candles in the upward direction. Candle by candle with a slight breakout. Still not really increasing volume. But there's definitely more certainty on the upside here. Now we need actual confirmation, which means a real closure above that high. Not just on Qs, but on SPY. It's really testing that 712 level right here. 20 more seconds for another 5-minute candle. It's not looking ideal, but gotta let it do what it's gonna do here. Not a great 5-minute candle on QQQ there. Now down quite a bit. Contracts down 20% now, 30%. Wow. Yeah. Just that the way these contracts move is just insane. The volatility. It's already down. Wow. It's already down $15. Just like that, just on that little red candle. Yep. The late entry is always like the second breakout. It's never the first one. It's always like you got to wait for it to break out and do this, and then it'll break out again, and then that'll be the real late entry when it actually it'll blow through the high like it's not even there, and it'll just rip up to 715, 716 like really quickly. And it will be more obvious if that was to happen here in the next 30 minutes or so, but for now it's just obviously going against me initially because I took what looks like a late entry, which is right here, but the late entry would really be like over here as we make a second attempt and break through. We come through, we made a new high, get this ugly upside down hammer candle, and then we come in and test again and finally get the breakout, the second breakout. That would be where the late entry would actually be for the real move, which would come in, which would be like a few dollars higher, maybe up to here. I think 716 is possible. That's the strike that I have, but it's still down like 20-25%, so just this pullback right here. I entered like basically at the top of this candle, and then we made a new high by half a second. And so we're coming back to the 9, and then SPY is very similar. It's looking for a secondary attempt and then a final breakthrough and actual momentum to bring it up higher. That's the only way the trade can work. The volatility is hard to stomach. Up 30-40% initially, and then right back down to negative 30% on the contract on one red candle. That's just the way it goes. And especially right now, that's what I'm saying. I have to go for it. So I'm not looking to stop out quickly. If I stop out, it's going to be very low. And I'm looking to capture the momentum higher here because that's what I'm expecting based on the chart and based on everything going on. And the setup is telling us that it's going for another breakout, and then maybe the second test here will be the breakthrough, and we'll get the momentum with increasing volume that will actually lead us up over 714 to 715 and 16. And that's not even the final target. You know, the final target would be on that 4-hour daily chart. On the 4-hour chart, the 9 EMA at 717, the 100 SMA or 50 SMA at about 718. So there's plenty of room to the upside. It doesn't have to happen, but I'm long based on the chart and based on the directionality of the momentum here intraday. Going into power hour, which is in 2 minutes. I gotta go use the restroom. I'll be back. All right, going for the second retest here, back above 712. Let's see if we can get some serious momentum coming in. SPY's trying to go for it. Let's see if SPY can actually make the new high day. SPY's at 736 flat right here. High days at 736.62. Q's is at 712. High days at 712.74. So a break over 713 will be a solidification of what I would consider the late entry, or where I probably should have entered would be on this next leg, on this next move here, which is going to possibly break that previous high. That would be what I would actually consider the late entry. SPY's trying to go here. I really would like to see rising volume, which I just don't really see it very often, you know. Whenever we get the rising volume, it's just like a huge move. Like we had right here, just a huge move, and then it just decreases until we get the next breakout. Or the opposite, but like here on this sell down, the volume's rising all the way to the bottom, and then we consolidate, and then it kind of just consolidates without much increasing volume. Even right here, like this doesn't really count. It's barely increasing volume. So there we go, a new high day on SPY and QQQ. QQQ pushing almost up to 713, which is pretty good. That's what I'm looking for. Contract still barely over break even though, but they're starting to gain some momentum here. The previous high on the initial move was up to 54 cents, I think, on the contract. It's at 42, 47. It's all over the place right now. Over 713, the contract will be definitely reasonably profitable, and I'll get my finger on the trigger. But I want to see that momentum come through. I would like to see actual increasing volume. But right now, I don't see the increasing volume. We are getting it a move through that previous high. Let's see if we can get through 713, which will be big right here. And SPY, maybe 737 if it can get up there along with it. Just a momentum trade. Contracts not break even, but we're trying, you know, these contracts are all over the place. Back to break even. It's like, I don't know. Over 713, these contracts will definitely be well over break even, and we'll be able to continue potentially capturing a little bit of profit. And I'm looking for the move to go up over 714, maybe 716. That would be ideal. You know, in a shorter time frame as possible would be ideal, but depending on how this momentum comes in, if we can break out 713 and 737 on SPY, will determine where I exit. Ideally, my exit would be at 716, just about, maybe just shy of 716. But we need a real momentum to get that. Strike price is 716. Contracts are down $8 from 41 to 32, 33. So it's not really profitable at the moment. Still having a drawdown on this trade as of now. Just a sustained drawdown as we attempt to break out for the second time here. So this is where volume needs to come in, and we need a significant move over 713 and 14. And then the trade will work out. These contracts are so volatile, it's crazy. Not too far out the money though. I mean, well, given the type of volatility we've been having, I mean, it's like about three and a half, 4 strikes out the money. 716 call. About 3 strikes if we can get to 713, so it's not too bad, but don't want to wait all this whole power hour. It's now power hour with 55 minutes left. Don't really want to wait too long during power hour to capture this move. I want this move to happen sooner than later. So ideally, maybe we get a move up towards 716 and then pull back at the very end of the day versus rallying into the end, into the close. But we need momentum here. Still don't see too much momentum. We got a nice closure candle here on SPY and Q. But we still need to get above that. These highs we keep making, just barely making a new high. It's not enough. These contracts are not looking too good. See, if I waited till now, I could have got a 715 strike for just under $50 versus being at a 716, which is now down $10 from where I entered. And we're barely holding. So we'll see what happens. Either way, it is what it is. If we don't get the move higher here, then, you know, the trade is cooked. And it just makes it very, very much difficult for me to continue trading after this. Yeah, contracts down about 50% now. Yeah. We made 2 new highs there for absolutely no reason. Yeah. Yeah, this is not good. Yep, contracts down literally 60% right here. From $41, now it's at $16, $17. And yeah, just this move is just not happening. This volatility is just not friendly for traders like me. I have one position and it just is what it is. I mean, taking the stop loss, like it just feels impossible. Even with the PDT rule, like it just feels impossible given this type of price action where the contracts move like 5 times as much as the actual price of the on the chart. So that's why I have to just go all in and just have to take the risk today. And if we don't get the move to 716, then these contract, it is what it is. That's the only way that this can work. If we actually get the move resolution higher here, which I was expecting, but now it's starting to fall apart with this red candle that we're making here. It's just very confusing because we make a high and then we make another high and then it's like literally 20 cents, and the volume was kind of rising barely, but it's just the type of price action, the type of volatility that just is extremely difficult, and you just have to stomach. You have to trade like you're gonna have a max loss. You know, you have to trade as if the contract's going to zero. That's the only way. And so that's basically what I'm trying to say, is that especially on a day like today with my account being $50, I can only take one contract, and sure, I could probably stop out quickly and then miss a trade, and then it gets complicated if I try to stop out with and use the PDT rule to my advantage on a day like today when I only have $50. Like it just does not make sense. So I have to take a position, expecting that position to basically go to zero, and expect the resolution in the direction that I'm talking about to the upside in order for the contract to actually become profitable. And if that doesn't happen, then it's a loss. It's a trade that's a loss, and that's kind of the only way I can really get past this right now, because the way the market is right now, I can't just take a $30 contract and stop out for 10 cents, which is what I would like to do, but it's just not working out. So I kind of have to just take the $50 and expect to win the first trade and expect to read the price action properly and have the price action here specifically resolve higher over 714 and 715 in order for this contract to be at the money, which would give it enough of a boost for me to actually profit a decent amount in order to where next week I don't necessarily have to take that same risk, and I can do that, split it in half and then divide it into quarters as I continue to win a trade and actually have a profit in the account that's above $50. So if I can get the account up to $100, then I could do that same thing twice, and I would take a $30, $40, $50 contract expecting what I'm expecting and trading for zero basically. So your position size in an ideal world, I would trade 1% or less, and I would expect that position size to go to zero, and that would be like the most effective way to trade intraday or swing trade. So if I had like $10,000, I would take $100 contract, and I would just let the contract do what it's going to do. And maybe sometimes you stop out, maybe sometimes you don't, but ideally in most of the situations you would just look for the outsized return. So that contract going to zero would mean that you need to capitalize on a bigger move, and with 0 to 8 contracts it's totally doable. But see, the contract's back up to break even here as we're almost at 713, but it's really nothing. I need to see more momentum. If we can get over 714 and 15, this contract can accrue enough profit for it to be significant for me very quickly. But the way that it's moving here is just like very volatile, so it's hard to stomach. And all I'm trying to say is that, you know, you kind of have to trade like it's not really a lottery trade, but it's really like if I'm trading with $50 or $100, I really need to trade for zero in a lot of situations, you know, given the type of volatility we have. So take a smaller position size, expect it to go to zero. That's the stop, you know, generally. And that means that on the upside, I need to capitalize on an outsized asymmetric return, at least a 1-to-1 in most situations. And that's one of the most effective ways I would think to get past such a small dollar account or dollar amount would be to actually just take that type of a risk. So my analysis says that we're going to go to 716 here. So if we were to do that, the contract could return 100%, which would set me up for next week to actually have a better opportunity to trade, which right now it's difficult. So that's why I'm trading the way I am here. So QQQ is touching 713. SPY is still Okay, we're getting a big spike on a SPY here. We're getting a spike. That's some volume. That's what we want to see. Volume's coming in. Contracts up another 40%, but it's not. We're just barely getting this push through. This is what we're looking for. So over 714, 715. First target is 716 ideally, or just shy of 716, which is what I would ideally be looking for if we can get catch momentum here. All right, the contract's actually moving really good. It's up 75%. So if it pushes a little bit higher here towards 715, I'm probably going to look to take that off because it's going to give me what I'm looking for a little bit early. But this move needs to push. I'm thinking 715 pretty quickly here, and that'll be probably a decent spot for me to exit. And I'm not really looking for much, so I just need to take the profit here soon. But I like this breakout here. We're starting to get serious momentum on the upside. SPY's got above 737 for a second. QQQ got above 714 for a second. Now let's see a bit of a continuation here. A little bit of a continuation over 714 and 737, and I will look for an exit. So far it's going in the right direction, but we need another candle higher with this momentum to actually clarify. Let's see that momentum come in over 714. Let's see a breakthrough and some serious momentum. And contracts around 64 cents, so I got it at 41. So anything close to $100 would be like excellent, very excellent. It's at 75. Let's see if we can get over 714 with some momentum, and then I might be able to get it off around there. Okay, SPY's over 737. All right, let's get a good move over 714 here. These contracts can move pretty good here if we can do so. Anything over 100%, I'll probably take it immediately. But if we can get a big enough move, a strong enough move right here, then it may do a little bit more than that pretty quickly if we can get this next move. We got increasing volume, so let's get this extension up towards 715. See the momentum come in right here. 715, bring it in. SPY high day. Contract's almost at 100%. Okay, there's 100% on the contract. Let's see. I'm going to give it a couple seconds here. I'm going to give it about like 2 more minutes, like halfway through this candle. I want to see this continue a little bit more, and I'll be taking this off pretty quick here. 714.50, we're halfway to 715. Okay. 714.50. Let's see the momentum actually come in right here. I think it can go straight to 716 here, but okay, we're almost to 715. Let's see if contracts are not really moving crazy. I mean, they're kind of like glitching around because the way this price action is, but we hit 715, I'll definitely be out. Can we get to 715 here? Hey, let's see this momentum come in. It's trying. Got to give it a second. 30 more seconds. I don't really want to wait too much longer, but it's trying to get this push here, but so just like really, yeah, I don't know. It's got to do this weird thing. Let's see, is the momentum going to come in here or not? It's always going to like try to get me out before it makes like a bigger move. You know, that happens all the time. So I got to trust it here and just let it do what it's going to do. Let it do this push. If I want 715, I think it can definitely do it. And that's being conservative in my opinion. But we gotta get actual volume to continue right here. It's a little bit tricky right here. We hit 714.75. We got really close for a second, but I think 716 is totally possible, totally doable. But where's the volume at? See, this is not good when it halfway makes the move and then it starts consolidating again. It's really, really bad for my position. $714.75 is the high day. So over $714.75, and I'll be looking for an exit really quickly here. This we can actually get some momentum, right? Some volume right here. It looks like it's trying to come in, but we need to break that. We need to get over 715 here, and then I'll be out of the trade. Okay, SPY's getting a push through. We're nearing that high day. New high day. We need to get over 715. I think it can do it real quick here, and then that's about it for me. I'm looking for that over 715, and I will be out. It's about 10 cents away. Here we go. Well, it's playing games, honestly. Like 714.93. Okay. It's really trying to shake out people before it makes this move here. The price action is just like tricky for the type of trade I'm trying to do. I need momentum that goes a little bit further, a little bit more strict momentum on the upside, not so much like consolidating and barely making a new high. Okay, let's put this candle in over 715 here. I just want to see the break of 715. That's what I want to see right here. That's pretty conservative, and that's going to give me a very solid exit, which gives me a lot of opportunity for next week to trade even better. The 1 minute chart is just tricky though. We keep trying to go for the high and then coming right back down into the 9, like right here, and then push up over that high. We got 7 cents off of 715. Like we need to just break through, solid breakthrough right here. clean breakthrough of 715, and that's it. I'm not looking for anything more than that. That'll be enough for me. Where's the push at? Where's the next push at? Bring it in. Yeah, it's just not doing it yet. It's just super slow. By the time it gets over 715, the contract's not going to be where I was expecting it to be. So it is what it is. I'm not really worried about the trade, but I would like for it to resolve over 715 much quicker than this. Well, it's only 30-40 cents away, 7 cents off of the high a day. It's definitely a weird spot. Like, it wants to go higher here, but it's like taking its sweet time. It's only 35 minutes left in the market. We need another leg up higher here really quickly, because this is gonna make it hard for me if we don't. It's gonna make the decision really hard if we can't go any higher here, like over 715 on QQQ. My strike is 716, so I mean, that's ideally where I would like it, but it's really slowing down right here, right at 715. So we're really consolidating these last like 10 minutes, just straight consolidation on Qs on the 1 minute chart, just straight sideways, which is not good. I don't know. There's just not enough volume or momentum to send it through right now. The SPY's trying, but where's the volume at? We need this next push over 715 on QQQ. That's all I'm looking for. Over 715 is all I'm looking for. Okay, it's almost there. About to break the high day, which should put it over 715. 714.93 is the break high day, and then we need to get over 715 with some momentum. And I'm still looking for about the same thing. It's not too much different here. I want to see this next leg come in over 715. I think 716 can come extremely quickly, but it's kind of difficult right now. We're trying to break over 715 here. Contracts barely at the same spot, so let's give it a second. Contracts at 100% here as we're barely breaking over 715. All right. Starting to get the move. I see increasing volume. Contracts are starting to get close to where I want. I'm going to try to get it off close to 100 if I can. I think I'll be able to get it right here, actually. We're getting a decent move. I'm about to get out of this like real quick here. All right, well, I'm just going to have to try to get out. It's not letting me get out either. Nope, not out yet. I tried to get out there. Actually, no, it did sell. Okay, I got out for 93. You know, I got out right there, and watch, it's probably going to go straight to 736, but that's fine. Well, that does bring my account up to $100. My account is up to $101.21. $52 profit on that trade. $41 contract for a $52 profit. Entered the contract at 41 cents on the 716 call about 40 minutes ago and took it off right here. I entered the call right here on this candle. Actually, no, I think it was this candle. Let me see. No, 249. So I entered actually right here after this candle. This was like the confirmation that it was early. I should have took the confirmation here on this candle, but then I would still be looking for that 716, but we're almost there. So now the contract, I sold it for 93 cents from here, from the entry right here at 41 cents. So not too bad. The contract's now still sitting at 96. So it's about there. Now it's hitting $1. So this is where I would have wanted to sell it perfectly at $1 from 41 cents. But either way, that's a pretty solid trade. So for the contract from 41 up to 93, that's a total profit of 126%. Okay, there we go. Straight to 716. Like I said, boom. Contract's at $1, $115 from 41. I sold it for 93. But yeah, so pretty good. 126% on that. And for my account, from $50.53 to $101.21 now. It's pretty good. That brings me up 100% exactly on the first trade. So my first trade here on this reset brings me up 100% from $50.53 up to $101.21 in buying power now, which is great, which means next week I have a lot more optionality and flexibility to trade, which is exactly what I was hoping would happen. So thank goodness that was a good trade. But yeah, the entry was definitely not perfect. If I entered on this as confirmation over it would have been confirmation over 712 on a closure, which sort of happened here, but we made a new high and then we made another high by like 10 cents. We kept getting these 9 EMA tests, which brought me down like 40%, brought me down 40%. This probably brought me down 50 or 60% on that contract, even though I entered right here, even just to right here. But then we got the move I was looking for, the resolution higher up towards 716 and 718, which is where I think we can end up. And I ended up getting that break of 715 right here finally and took the contract off for 126% or whatever. Now we're getting a bigger move. Look at that. All the way up to 717. Look at that. Holy, see, contract's at $200 now. So that's the thing about a lot of trades is you'll take an exit at a good spot, but then you'll be surprised by the asymmetric return possibility, which is what's happening here. I took it off for 93 cents, and even just a few minutes later, now it's all the way up to 717, and now we're getting serious momentum, like we're getting some serious move here. Contract's over $230 now from $40, so contract's up like 500% from where I initially entered. From right here, 41 cents to $250 right here. Absolutely crazy, but I took it off for $93. I brought my account from $50 to $100 today, so that's all I needed to do, and that's more than enough for me. So I'm cool with that. It's all good. All good. But that's how trading is the best trades that you take, you always exit early and you miss. That's why sizing for zero is actually really beneficial, especially when you're working with such a low capital. Next week, I won't necessarily have to do that, but I'm still going to try to take my same risk management strategy of trading the $30 to $50 contract, risking about half of it per trade, which is 50 to 67% risk per trade per position, which my position size is like a quarter of my account or less. Well, more like a third right now. If the account was at $200, I would call it a quarter, but at $100, my position size is like a third of my account, and I'm risking 50 to 70%. And So that just means that I need to have at least a 2-to-1. And I also probably should be taking profit early, like I did today, in order to buff up the account, and really just trusting in my analysis and the way the price action is. Because today, the analysis was spot on. We got this move, and I was expecting the resolution higher, 716, 718, which we're literally doing as we speak. These contracts are at $250 from 40 cents. Very solid trade, very good move, but I definitely took the profit quite early, and we've got the biggest move right after I take profit. This happens all the time. I sold for about $100, and then 5 minutes later, it's up another 150%. It's like, yeah, that's just the way it is. Contracts $1.60 in the money now, so yeah, of course, 716 call. So it definitely sucks, because could have been even better, but that's fine. It works out perfectly fine for me. That means next week I can actually trade quite a bit more effectively. So that's that. Let me just go mark up this chart real quick. Still got 25 minutes left in the market. So my entry was a long position at 2:49 p.m., which is right on that closure of that candle. Looking for about 7. Oh wow, yeah, this contract, I mean, this is going crazy. Pretty crazy, wow. Pretty crazy. Wow. Well, we got the move I was looking for, so that's great. Yeah, and look at that oil price coming down even further, under 85 now. SPY's pushing up towards that 21. All the targets are being achieved. QQQ is already there. See that? QQQ is already at my target, 718. This is what I was talking about earlier. This is the exact spot that I was looking at. SPY still has all the way up to 740. I mean, 741 even, so SPY could still go a little bit higher, but QQQ has the momentum today because all the AI infrastructure names are still up quite a bit. And so this is just an additional boost. Over 718 now. Wow. That's another $3 move since I exited the trade. Wow. Totally crazy. Anyways, I'm just screenshotting this really quick so I could post my journal entry after the market closes. Yeah, these contracts hit like $300 there from 40 cents. I entered at 40 bucks, contracts up to 300. So that's the type of trade that I'm looking for, and ideally every trade would work like that. Ideally every trade would present a 500% return. Even though when I initially entered the trade right here, it went 30% in my favor, and then immediately on this pullback to the 9, it went negative 30%, then back to break even right here, and then this wick down under the 9 brought me down like 50%, almost 60, and then we finally got the resolution higher, which now from down here up to here was just an insane move, like nearly 1,000% on the contract itself. It was down to like $28, $29, which is down like 50, 60%. Well, not even, that was like 40%, but yeah, just I mean, that's 1,000% move from down here at the bottom of this candle here under the 9. Before we reclaimed, it was $28. Now the contract's at 280 as we speak right here. That's 900%. So I only caught 126%, but that was more than enough for me. Obviously, if I would like to have held the contract until right now, and given that I'm sizing for 0, it's totally doable to do so, to hold it longer. But in these type of situations, I'm really trying to walk away with profit, and I'm not trying to risk too much. I already hit over 100% on the trade, and it sets me up for next week. And I really don't want to go into next week unable to trade and having to reset another $50 in my account, which I just started today. So I'm grateful that I don't have to do that. And my account is now over $100, which means next week I'll be able to effectively manage trades better and starting out at a better place with this. right? And the dollar is slipping under 100. Yeah, the dollar is quite volatile today, along with oil. VIX below 20 now. And there's still plenty of room on the VIX for us to come down. We may see a candle down here on the VIX tomorrow with SpaceX IPO. Keep an eye out for that. If the VIX gets back under 19, probably drops right back down to 18 and 17 with SpaceX tomorrow and going crazy. But the thing that's really holding up I can't type. What's really holding up the NASDAQ today is this up 9.5% on the 3x leverage. Actually, on the daily chart, it's up literally 23% today. We've had this volatile move, but I mean, just look at that. It's up 23% just today from the previous close at 180 up to 222 on the semiconductor leverage ETF. This is really holding up QQQ right here, where SPY is slightly behind. SPY's already up almost to 740, almost up to this level. Well, that's the daily chart. On the 4-hour, it's still got room. But yeah, the dollar being down here is pretty good. The dollar's really in this consolidation phase. It's really not much to look at with the dollar. You see, when you zoom out even further, it goes back to 1967. Wow. It's just the deflation. 1984. Like, I'm not sure what happened here. And then 1987. And then 96 rally. 2001. 2008. And then 2020. That chart goes back pretty far. Silver and gold, they're going to end up just wedging out here for a while. I don't think they're going to come down too much, but these are going to end up creating a base and then also resolving higher. Gold and silver have a long ways to go, and Bitcoin is going to be a part of that. Bitcoin is like digital gold, actually. All right, well, let's see what's going on. What's moving the markets right now? Yeah, tomorrow's going to be crazy with SpaceX. It really sucks I can't be there. I'm not going to be able to trade tomorrow. Tomorrow's like one of the main days of the whole year. I wish I could actually be there to trade, but I can't because I have to work. And I'm not able to get away from that. they're trying to hype up the market going into the weekend with canceling the scheduled strikes, and then they're also trying to say that they want to sign the deal this weekend. So they're really trying to hype it up. Now, hopefully it actually happens because we need the resolution. We don't want to be remaining over there having a conflict for really any longer. And we need both sides to be able to agree on that. I have no allocation to SpaceX. I really wanted to get at least like 1 or 2 shares to see if I can get allocated through Robinhood, but I just can't afford it. So I'm gonna just wait. You know, maybe it goes to 200 tomorrow. The starting opening bid price is $135. It probably opens at like 180 and goes to like 250. I would really like for it to come down to $100 and buy it there. And if it does hit $100 in the next several weeks or months, I'm gonna buy a few shares of SpaceX. If it somehow does hit $100, which it probably won't, but maybe it will. It's not like off the table, but tomorrow it's most likely gonna surge over $200. The market cap's gonna surge over nearly $2 trillion. That's what I would assume is gonna happen tomorrow, and the market's also gonna go up higher with it, possibly a gap up, and who knows how it's gonna close though. It's hard to say if it'll close at the high of day. It's a total guess, honestly. As long as everything else remains intact, I think we can have a decent bullish pump tomorrow with the IPO, with SpaceX, and the rest of the market will be rallying with it. Or maybe certain sectors are going to have liquidity taken from them and reallocated. But I would assume that's already been happening these past week or so. Yeah, that's the goal. Your parents will not believe their eyes when trading starts to pay off because they just don't believe it. They don't understand it. At least for me, yeah, they've advised me not to do it, and I talked to my great great grandparents, and they've done really well, but not nearly as well as you would think, and it mostly has to do with just index and mutual funds. That's all they do, and they only recommend mutual funds and having other people manage your money. And I totally disagree with the entire notion. I think the S&P 500 is good enough, or VOO, whatever you want. Or for me, I choose QQQ, the tech sector, and I just go in that, and you can get a better return than someone else managing your money, paying a management fee just by investing in an index. Or even if you really are speculative, you can just pick stocks and just balance your portfolio into couple different sectors, mostly tech and innovation, and you can still get a very similar return, probably even outsized return if you balance it properly. A lot of people don't have time to do so, but I really just disagree with boomers who say that you should just get a mutual fund or just invest in a actively managed fund. And I think that's just it doesn't really make sense unless you, like I said before, with concentration and diversification, unless you have like $1 million or several $1 million that you are looking to protect and preserve, and then you can allocate some of it to those type of places. Or even treasury bonds will get you 5% right now. You can get a 5% 30-year. So I mean, and a lot of people are buying it. But the market doesn't really care, because the market can just go higher, because inflation fears are making people think quantitative easing could be on the table, and they're believing that rate cuts or rate hikes are going to come in when ideally the rate hikes are going to be delayed, and they're going to turn into rate cuts when things resolve several months from now. Probably towards the end of the year, there may be actually a rate cut, which may surprise a lot of people in the market, but it will also send the market higher. And big reason for that would be because the national debt can't really deal with rising rates at the moment, and the government doesn't want to deal with rising rates. And that's part of why Trump keeps advising Kevin Warsh to cut rates. But Trump just said the other day, like the little clip I posted, that he wants Kevin Warsh to do what he thinks is best, and he doesn't want to have any control. He doesn't really want to have any say, which is respectable, and that's the way it's supposed to be. But even people like Jerome Powell are warning that with the inflation continuing and the continued persistent inflation, which they call transitory, has issues and could bring more issues. And people like Bank of America and JP Morgan Chase are even advising that a lot of bearish signals are in the market being overvalued, which is the same thing they've said back in 2020 before the rally, and they said back in 2023 before we rallied even higher. So they tend to get it wrong, these banks that say the market's overvalued. They're looking at a different perspective. Coming back down towards under 716 here, back towards 715. 10 minutes left in the market, 10-minute rigged in 5 seconds. Let's see what that's going to do. Maybe another red candle comes in here on that 10-minute rig. Nope. Maybe a bounce. Nope. Maybe a sell-off. It doesn't know. And here, under 716, the 716 calls right back down to about where I sold it, back below 90, back below $1. Now it's at 60 cents again. Still well elevated above the $41 entry price. So it was a solid trade, just the entry wasn't quite perfect. I mean, it was an early entry, I would say. If I waited 10 to 15 more minutes, it would have been a late entry, which would have been more ideal, and I would have probably captured a bigger part of the move because I would have had more confidence after entering on the late entry with more sustained momentum. But I was waiting. I kept having a drawdown, so it kind of forced me to exit early because the was reading some caution, but it worked out. And I'm going to be missing tomorrow. Well, that's unfortunate. They're saying SpaceX gonna hit 300 tomorrow. Now, I don't know. That's a little bit high. I think 200, 250 might be doable. I gotta go make some spaghetti when the market closes. I haven't eaten today. I got like a stomach ache, honestly. Like I said, I haven't been sleeping very well lately. I've been like taking like a 3 hour nap in the middle of the day and then staying up till 12 at night and then waking up at like 6 in the morning and then sleeping for a couple hours during the day, and I feel all messed up. And then I have to wake up and avoid all of that when I have to go back to work tomorrow in the next several days. I have to wake up really early and stay at work until late, and then I only have a couple hours before bedtime, and then it's hard to go to sleep on time because I have like such limited time. But that's the discipline. You just have to go to sleep on time. It's going to sleep on time solves most of your problems, honestly. You just go to sleep on time and you wake up on time and you take care of yourself. A lot of your problems can be solved very quickly. And obviously, no, you should not be drinking alcohol. You shouldn't be smoking. You shouldn't be vaping. All of it needs to be cut out. You need to be able to be on point, and half of those things mess up your sleep, and half of those things ruin your appetite, and they're just totally unhealthy. And if you want to live a good life, a long life, and you want to go for success, and you want to take risks, and you want to master your emotions, then you need to cut all that stuff out. Go to sleep on time, and study, research, read as much as possible so you can learn and the experience, screen time on the market, understanding what works and what doesn't for you personally, understanding risk management, position sizing in trading, and trying to create and grow your income so that you can invest and save and prepare for any downturn that gives you an opportunity to buy at lower prices like we've had in the last few days. It would have been nice to be buying stocks over the past few days, but I can't afford it because I'm at a very difficult spot financially where I'm having to really pull money out of nowhere and try to work as many hours as I can, even though a lot of the time I get told no when I'm trying to work more hours or when I try to pick up an extra day at work. So I may have to find a second job soon because I have struggled to find a decent full-time job that's gonna be good enough for years now. The inflation is the thing is there's a wage price spiral since 2020. 2021 there's been a wage price spiral that's getting out of hand, and there's not really much to compensate. Like my boss literally give me like a 1%, 1.5% raise or something, and then they say they're going to give me a 1% raise, and then it never even shows up. So it's just weird stuff, honestly. All right, 4 minutes until the market close. Consolidating around 716. Wow, pretty good. Consolidating at 716. QQQ's up 3.3% today. SPY's up 1.7%. SPY hit 740 exactly and then pulled back here a couple dollars to 738. It didn't hit my target at 741, but it definitely hit 740. Got a better move on QQQ, which is exactly what I needed. So that's why I'm trading QQQ, because when it works much better. When it doesn't work, it definitely sucks. But like last Friday, where all of a sudden I switch over from SPY to Qs last week, the last couple days of last week, and then SPY's outperforming QQQ those days. But today it's different. Today we got a much stronger, better move on QQQ than we are getting on SPY, which is great and makes sense because the semiconductor names and the hyperscalers and cloud infrastructure names are all green today. except for like Oracle down 8%. It's a good thing because I don't like Oracle. TikTok is garbage. Oracle, I don't care what their business model is. I don't like the company. I'll never invest in it. I'll invest in Palantir though for sure. I just don't like Oracle. Even Palantir is green. I mean, mostly everything is green today except for Meta, Netflix, Microsoft, Adobe, and Oracle. Everything else is mostly green on my list. Bruh. See, I hate this quote. This Machiavelli quote is so annoying. I mean, I get it, but the Machiavelli quote that goes, "Never play fair in a game where others cheat." Never play fair in a game where others cheat. Well, the thing is that people cheat in every single game there is. There's no like 100% truthful game that's not rigged at some level or that's not infiltrated or manipulated at some level. I don't really think that playing the game to win necessarily necessitates cheating. I think playing the game to win necessitates mastering yourself and understanding the perception for yourself and also for what other people are looking for in terms of like building a service or a product or taking risks. All right, there's the market close. Yeah. Ding dong. Perfect. Okay, well, I'm gonna go make some spaghetti. I can trade tomorrow for SpaceX IPO, massive, the biggest IPO in history. I'm sure it's gonna be great. I'm sure it's gonna hit $200, $250. I'm sure that maybe even in 6 months from now, people are saying maybe it'll come down. Maybe I'll get a chance to buy it at $100. But it's hard to say because they're gonna be getting that index money. They're gonna be getting. I don't know exactly the timeline, but they're supposed to be included into the Nasdaq before this S&P, and so they're going to get allocations from the ETFs. But yeah, so I can't trade tomorrow, and that really sucks. But today was a solid trade, made 126%. The contract went like probably over 400% from where I entered it, and even more from the lowest of the drawdown that I had. So that's about it. I'm going to go make some food, and I'll be back next week, probably on Tuesday or Wednesday, and take this $101 account now to another level and try not to look back. So have a great day. God bless.